Morning, morning, everybody. Michelle is here on this Saturday. Let me make sure. I don't know why I just can't remember what days it is. Saturday, November the 25th, 2023, and the place to be, baby, baby. I hope everybody's doing fantastic, magnificently, and marvelous because I am. All right, all right, all right. I just want to get on up. I've already put out a podcast this morning because as I said on my podcast, I don't know if I sleep unless and usually when I say that, that means absolutely nothing. I don't know if I'm sleeping or not, and even if I had my partner here, they wouldn't know if I'm sleeping or not, because that's that can be subjective, and I won't get into all that. But I do know that I rest. I do rest. And so, because a lot of people, nobody knows what it really means to sleep, but a lot of people can monitor someone's sleep. That's all, by their breathing and this and that and the other. And so usually people that I date don't know all of that. They don't know how to monitor my breathing and this and that and the other. So that's why it's so easy for people to die in their sleep, and nobody knows that. So, but I won't get into that anymore. And because I have a reason for that, but I'll come back to that at a later date. So anyway, as I'm resting at night, I'm usually, my thoughts are going. I let my thoughts flow because I know how to manage my thoughts, and I enjoy my thoughts flowing because that's where you can get ideas, inspirations. That's where you can contemplate on your fantasies, your imaginations, and you can, because there is a proper way to ruminate, actually, a proper rumination. But because we are so extreme, we interfere with the natural courses of our realities. Okay, so what does all that mean? Like I said, my phone be ringing at the most and they just don't stop. But that's fine. I don't. And see, they keep calling and calling and calling. People just love to do that, but that's the nature of the beast. I don't let it bother me per se, but it is annoying. But what can I do about that? So, but like I said, at nighttime, and I'm not re-recording nothing. How about that? I want you to see the realities of my life, that it's not perfectly orchestrated, where I can't make mistakes and where I can't do this or that and the other. So, and that's my intention. I want you to see me as I perform naturally. So if you decide you want to be in my circle or be a part of my life, you'll know what you're getting yourself into. How about that? And so most people don't do that. They don't put forth who they really are when they are in front of an audience or people watching them, because that's what a lot of people know, that if people know that they're being watched, they'll act a certain way, as opposed to if they're not being watched, they'll, and that's the same thing when people, that's when people are not walking the talk, because, they don't know that you've been watching them and paying them attention, and then they want to present themselves in a certain way that they didn't know that you picked up. Because like I said, we all are walking contradictions. We all are. But some can pick up the subtleties of that and some cannot. A lot of people do literally take on what someone's saying and not paying attention to the other modalities of what people are doing when they're saying things. I mean, that's our responsibility, okay, to do that. You just don't take somebody's word for something without researching it. Because I made that mistake when I was growing up as a young girl with certain family members. I put a video out on that, but I'm not going to say anymore. Where I was just taking in what this person was telling me, like it was the truth. Like, okay. And then, oh boy, when I fell on my face so many times because I didn't research what was being said to me, I fell on my face so many times for that. And I looked like I was embarrassed and this and that and the other. And I'm glad I went through that because it did teach me to, okay, Michelle, regardless of who it's coming from, whether it's a relative or a lover or a friend or even a stranger. You need to research that stuff and make sure it does fall in line with reason and is reproducible. It makes sense. You understand it. So at nighttime when I'm in bed, I'm doing a lot of contemplating, as well as properly. There's a proper way to ruminate, but like I said, I won't get into that because we are just too literally extreme with everything. So I have to know how I'm putting out information so that I don't confuse people. So that's why I say don't ruminate until you understand what it means to think. Okay, until you know what it means to think, I will avoid rumination. Okay, overthinking, because thinking, to be properly thinking, that's the key. Okay, and you don't want anyone telling you otherwise. It's about your thoughts, the individual's thought. Okay, so something kept popping in my mind overnight, and it's about being reasonable or reason. Being, the reasons or being reasonable, I think is more so what I what was coming in, kept coming into my brain, and so I'm looking up reasonable. Reasonable, it says here, based on or using good judgment and therefore fair and practical. Okay. So it's it's like you need to be able to use good judgment and therefore fair and practical, and being fair and practical. And so a lot of us are totally extreme, or in one way or a fashion when it comes to that. A lot of us are not applying good judgment and being fair and practical. And I know a lot of people kind of are using words and terms that have lost value decades and decades ago. And so a lot of interesting things are coming forward, during these times, and I'm not surprised about how we are being almost in a forceful way to resolve our contradictions and be clear and effective and make sure we are walking the talk and make sure we understand what we are talking about. Okay, make sure it makes sense to others and is reasonable. Okay, and rational. So that's why, and I've been saying that for a while. I put those combinations together because I think a lot of us are just repeating like parrots, regurgitating, and we have no idea what these meanings, whether these meanings are true or not. We figure, okay, it comes from Socrates, it must be correct, or it comes from Aristotle, it's correct, and that is anything but true. If you consider what they've written and attempt to contemplate it and cultivate it, you recognize that it no longer necessarily has the same value and meaning as it did for Aristotle, as it did for Socrates, because we didn't evolve it. When Aristotle and Socrates put out these theories and opinion, we were supposed to have proper discussion, proper conversation, and make sure that it was reasonable, rational, and it was reproducible. Day after day, century after century, millennia after, that it made sense, that it didn't require a necessary. What it may have required is a necessary explain, how to explain it, but at the same time, it's still the value of it held true throughout. How many people know that or do that? Like with Newton, I've asked the question, why did the apple fall from the tree? Okay, because if you say what goes up must come down, why did the apple fall from the tree? Those kind of things. So we were, if everything were equal, We, like I said, we could have been Star Trekking all over the universe. Okay, I mean all over the universe, conversing with other planets and and humans and this. But a lot of people rather see that in fantasy movies and fantasy, rather live in those kind of fantasies instead of actually living those type of fantasies or realities actually, because it does exist. Mm-mm-mm. Ooh, that tastes good. So I put out a podcast this morning where I said, consider, excuse me, consider this. Say for example, you're in the center of a million people. Okay, attempt to visualize that first. Attempt to visualize it first. You're the center of millions of people, and you're standing there, and you want to leave. The people are yelling, people are screaming, people are singing, people are crying, people are looking at you, want to get your attention, people are breathing on you. Everything is happening around you, and you want to get out of this. You don't want no part of it. You're not saying that anything's bad about any of the people that are around you and any of the things that they're doing, because you don't feel necessarily threatened, but you want to get out of that situation. And what will you do? I said to imagine that literally. How would you get yourself out of it? Okay, and so what I said is that's what's happening to our consciousness. We have all of these moving parts around us. People are yelling in our ear, crying in our ear, singing, dancing, talking, and smoking. Everything's going on. Drinking, music playing, revving engines. Vehicles are nearby. They're revving their engines. Sometimes it's raining on one side of the street. There's snow on the other side of the street. There's sunlight. How would you get yourself out of all of that? And I told you that's the reality of our consciousness, and why we have to evolve ourselves out of this by grounding ourselves in reality and attempting to strategize. If you want to use some strategies, use some type of imaginative thinking, imaginative fantasies, while you know that it's about getting yourself out of this situation. How would you do it? How would you get yourself out of it? And again, literally, you can imagine that's happening, but in most cases, it's all invisible. Okay, and you don't know necessarily if it's a million people there. You just know there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of chaos. That you hear bombs. You hear people walking. You hear dogs bark. I mean, most of that is the type of energy that is within the grips of all of our realities. That is what we're dealing with. Okay, and that's when I said, in some cases, the damage has been done to a lot of our consciousness. Under the best circumstances, some people are not going to be able to get out of that vortex of all of that moving parts of energy that keeps going and going and going and going and going. And I also said a while ago that a lot of us are just spinning, and we're not moving. We're not going nowhere. And that's and the reason we're not going anywhere, because we're stuck in that circle of all of that activity going on around us, and we cannot get out of it. It's not necessarily that you want to escape it. You just want to get out of it. You have somewhere that you need to go, and where you're going is the evolution of your consciousness. In other words, it's time for you to move on. Okay, and handle matters that are of the utmost importance to you and your development. Okay, the people that are standing around you and doing all this and that and the other, the reason is they're there based on their self-will. I mean, they have their free will and they want to be there. Okay. Like I said, you as an individual not necessarily are condemning them, or this. You just want to be allowed to leave it. Just like, I want to make the decision that I'd rather leave this. environment. Okay, so think of that literally, figuratively, metaphorically, and symbolically as far as your consciousness is involved. And imagine you can't see that all that's there, but you know it's there. How about that? Some of you, if you're not visionaries, your auditories, you hear it. You hear these sounds and tones of everything. And I worry more, like I said, I worry more about the auditories, because that can easily blind you and cause you to have accidents, cause you to be involved in accidents as a pedestrian, cause you to be in accidents as if you're riding a bike or if you're on a skateboard or whatever. Especially if you are more so an auditory type. And usually auditory types are got their ears blocked either with a cell phone or with headphones. In most cases, if you research people that have been injured in accidents, usually they are of an auditory. That's just it's an unscientific theory and opinion, but consider it. They usually are not understanding the power of sound, and they're kind of immersed, and because they're not in control, and they're not managing the sounds that they hear. And so when you are grounded in reality, you can pay attention to what's going on around you, and sort of pick up the subtleties in sound, and be able to distinguish one from the other, and know whether or not you're in danger or not, based on what you hear. I'm not necessarily auditory per se, but that's one of my strengths though. I'm more visionary type. I'm looking around a lot and paying attention to, the structures, and paying attention to, okay, can I recognize what that sound is? And then all the other sensing. Everything's involved because I have been meditating for so long that it's all become a habit. You do develop habits, positive neutralized habits, which you don't necessarily have to be so, like breathing. I don't have to be always focusing on whether I'm breathing or not. I know when I'm not breathing. How about that? So it just becomes a part of your being, a part of your reality, and it keeps you as aware as possible, because that's what it's all about, actually, with everything that's happening, especially with our thoughts, is to be aware of what are we thinking about. Okay, what do I hear? What do I smell? What I do that all day long, and it's become something that's a habit to where I don't need to be so focused on it, if that makes sense. Like I said, it's like breathing. I know I'm breathing because trust me, I will know when I'm not breathing. And the same thing with you, okay? So concentration is, is a key component as well. Just concentrating and, recognizing, okay, what is really going on around me. And you'll recognize that we are kind of, our space is invaded, okay? Because, as a young girl growing up, I knew how to navigate through my environment, meaning there was not a lot of fear. Okay, think about that. There was not a lot of fear as I was growing up, even though everything was going on there. But it was the volume of what was happening. Okay, the volume was less. Therefore, there was a way to kind of relieve yourself of it or release yourself of it. But now the volume is massive now, where everything is interfered with. Okay, like I can hear the planes. I can hear police sirens in the background. I can hear people talking. It's just, if you're paying attention, I hear vehicles all day and night. The sounds and tones have changed. The visions have changed. And what I feel, sense, and receive has changed. So we're changing. But yet we want to stay focused on the tactics and the strategies and the beliefs of what happened in the 50s, 60s. There's no way we'll ever go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s. We're not going back to that. Now, in your consciousness, you can, and that's where you'll be fixed in delusion and illusion. Yeah, with your consciousness, you can go back, in a delusion anywhere you choose. You can do that attempting to go forward too. I know some people want to live in the future. I mean, like I said, in your consciousness, you can do whatever you want. In your thoughts, you can do whatever you want. But there is a physical reality of our existence here that we have to pay close attention to. Our physical existence matters as far as how we're going to get the appropriate elements to become genuine human beings in the true sense. Meaning our physical matters. So I know a lot of people attempt to kind of escape that and think, okay, they're better than their physical. And they believe that in their thoughts. They think because they are filled with knowledge, that does makes them more important than a homeless person or more important than their neighbors, which is illogical. Okay? Because none of us, under the best circumstances, can get out of our soul system. None of us as physical. Because that's the only way you're going to get out. You're not going to get out of this soul system believing that, okay, my energy is going to get me out of there, get me out of this. That's illogical. Okay? This is where we are affixed. This is our planet. This is where our consciousness and our spirit forms lie. This is where we live. Okay, so there's no escaping this unless you go through the proper physical transformations by doing what is expected of you to be a genuine human being in the true sense. Okay, so a lot of people want to think, okay, I'm so much better than everybody on this planet that I'll be able to get out of this planet safe and sound, and that's not true at all. If you have not done the work to become a genuine human being in the true sense, okay, you can escape this planet in physical, however, and it's a materialism process to get off of this planet. Okay, if you think your energy is going to take you somewhere else, that's a fantasy. When I say your energy, that means the invisibleness of your energy. That your energy only can take you off this planet. That's unfortunately that's a fantasy. Okay, if we are to leave this soul system, we need to leave this soul system in a material form. Now, how does that sound? A lot of people believe that if they're going to leave this soul system, they can kind of use it just via energy only. And I'm just saying that's not possible right now. Because even if you think about Star Trek, the process was it was still a material process, but it was a way the material of the human being was broken down to get them elsewhere into other planets and other galaxies. Does that make sense? I hope that's fun to think about. At least make it fun to think about. So in other words, you're not going to be, a lot of people want to believe that, okay, they can escape the physical. On this planet, you're not going to be able to do that. We're here on this planet for a reason, and we're on this planet to what? Evolve our consciousness and bring ourselves up to a certain vibrational level, which makes us lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter as we are, going through the process of evolving ourselves. So in other words, we have to make our material bodies lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter in weight and volume. And that's a process. That takes billions of years. So I know a lot of people are going to be really upset, excuse me, and despondent because they feel like they can just fly away off this planet at a certain time in energy only. And I say, no, you have to work your way up to make yourself able to be accessible, to be accepted anywhere else than here. We're here and stuck here for a reason that a lot of people do not want to consider. Okay, and I'm not attempting to confuse people. I mean, what I'm saying will resonate with the right ears that are hearing it. And if it doesn't resonate with you, you know you have free will to swipe and move on. But for those of you who are operating off of this fantasy that you have this certain level of energy power to where you can sell yourself anywhere outside this soul system, I'm just saying you're being delusional to yourself, and you're gonna cause yourself a lot of unnecessary anxiety and despondency and delusional and being in a hallucination about your realities. We are material for a reason. Okay, our materialness is affixed to this planet. So I know a lot of people are thinking about Mars. Well, remember, we're in the soul system. So Mars is in our solar system. The moon. We cannot get out of our soul system physically right now. And that's going to take billions of years, possibly, or maybe not. I don't know. So there's a lot to consider and a lot to contemplate, and a lot to accept about our realities. And that's why I said for a lot of people it's too late, because before you can get to point C, you need to complete A and B. And a lot of people want to leapfrog even over C. In other words, they just want to say, okay, I'm ascended. I'm going to meet with my maker and forget about the rest of you. I'm better than you. I know more than you. I'm more powerful than you. And all this delusion. Okay, we're all stuck here together. Okay, because if you could have escaped based on what you claim you are now, you wouldn't be among us now. Okay, all of us are here in the now because this is where we're supposed to be, in the here and the now, right now, in these physical bodies. Okay, no one is that ascended than myself or ascended than you. Otherwise, we couldn't last on this planet. Okay, we are in a certain level of consciousness, and we are together because we have to. This is what this planet requires: a certain level of high consciousness and low consciousness, and those in the middle. Okay, so I would get over a lot of you, if you choose to get over the fact that you think you are more of an ascended personality than you are. You're in the same boat as all the rest of us. Okay, you can't go nowhere any more than we can, or the rest of us can. Okay, you do not have that much power. Otherwise, you wouldn't be among us. Trust me on that. I know a lot of people want to be more than they are. When they say they're angels, there is a certain level of lost angels, and I talked about that already, and I'm not going to go into that anymore, because all that does is bring out other people claiming that they are more than that. Everything has a meaning and balance, but a lot of people always want to go past that. If I say that I'm highly sensory, then someone else will come in and attempt to leapfrog over that. But when I say I'm highly sensory, that means not a goddamn thing. It really doesn't. And so that's why I had to back off saying all that. That's why I backed off saying I'm a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm a human being. Because we put too many parameters on that. And then everybody's competing about, okay, I'm the best teacher. I'm the best teacher. I'm the master. I'm a herald. I'm a prophet. I am, so it just keeps going and going and going and going, where we're competing and stepping on all over each other, attempting to, escape our realities, and we're not going to under the best circumstances. Okay. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. Okay. And if you were to leave this soul system you will not ever have a reason coming back because you can't. You won't be able to. Okay, the people that are coming in and out of this, our soul system, are human beings, by the way. Some are androids, okay, which are, so they can safely operate those that come in. Some are clones. Okay, so because it's not safe to bring your consciousness, if you have such a high consciousness, it's not safe for you to be on this planet. You wouldn't survive. Okay, so please just everybody bring yourselves down to earth, so to speak, and your need to be more important than everybody else. You're not. And I know once that reality hits, because it will, you're going to either kill yourself, or you're going to kill yourself, and you're going to plan to hurt others, or do what cult leaders do, force you into believing that you need to go with them, the cult leader, like Jim Jones, Heaven's Gate. You get yourself caught up in those fantasies and delusions that you are so much more than you are. You're a human being. Okay, and whether you like it or not, you're going to die. And then you pass that baton to someone else. Okay, so I just like to put some flavor in your ear or some sounds in your ear, just to help protect a lot of consciousnesses out there of people who think they're angels. The type of angels that are non-human angels, ascended ones, masters, heralds, advanced consciousness, where they're more advanced than the people on the planet, but somehow they feel more, in other words, they think they're in touch with so many realities outside our solar system, which is that's unidentified to a lot of us. A lot of us have no idea what's going on outside our solar system. Most of us have no idea what's going on outside our own planet. Okay, and what's the damage being caused there? Okay, so bring yourself back down before you get yourself so detached to where you're going to want to harm yourself and harm others, because you are in delusion and you're hallucinating. But yet you have this belief that you are this ascended master, high consciousness human being, which is not true at all. We are, a lot of you, all of us are a consequence, an effect, in a negative and true sense of what we fail to consider. And this goes back thousands of years, it goes back millions of years. We are the effects of all of that and the consequences. Okay? And it's not a good picture, if we're honest. It's not a good picture. Okay? So I just want to go ahead and delve into that. I know this is a long video. I'm not concerned about whether someone listens to it or not. At the right time, it will resonate with the ones that need to hear it. That is my comfort. That's why I'm not concerned about whether people are following me or liking my videos or commenting, because I'm telling you not to do either or. You can listen and then move on. But do not be concerned about whether or not it makes sense to you or not. It may not, and that's okay too. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love right now, and go ahead and enjoy my day for now. But I have a lot more to talk about, and hey, it's going to be, at least it'll be there, and whoever, like I said, needs to hear it will hear it. Whoever needs to find it will find it. Okay? Peace and love, and trust me, I'll be back.